It's in your school.
Man, y'all got it all. I'm telling y'all right now, for real. I'm telling y'all. What I do? Appreciate the call. Appreciate it. I got you. Thanks, call. Thanks, call.
Hey,
Hey, how y'all doing?
we're good. How are you?
I'm good, blessed.
Man. It's like we just relived that
The whole moment.
the whole moment. It's
Mm-hmm.
surreal.
It is.
So proud of you. I mean,
Thanks.
words cannot express how elated. It's like the journey is just beginning, but it's been a journey for you. So
Right.
I wanted to bring you on. We wanted to bring you on at Ombi Group because this is the first time we've ever had post conversations with some of our clients who were just drafted. And what more time now when we are all safe at home, mind you, safe
Right.
at home, that we're able to just expose you to the world. Most people know you on the field, but we really wanted people to know you off the field. Who is the Jonathan Greenard? Who is the man, the athlete, the educator, the motivator, just a good all-around philanthropist? So we wanted you to come on today. Thank you so much for making some time to be with
Right.
us. You have a bunch of fans who are in the room, so I know they have a lot of questions. I just wanted to know, how did this journey start? I mean, just take us back to who you are, college, Louisville, then Florida. Just tell us what that journey looked like for you.
Yeah, man. It's a whole journey. This time from I was 4 years old playing football, till now just getting up to changing positions in high school, and I played running back all of my life. So making that transition when I hit a growth spurt to play defensive end, it was somewhat of adjustment. But just I didn't know what I was gonna do. I was underweight and wasn't that tall at that point in time. So I got down in spirit somewhat just because I didn't think I was gonna be able to play at the next level of my position. But I just stayed the course with it, and I seen just a little bit of a glimpse of some stuff that I had inside myself, my coaches as well, and I just executed. I just jumped on that opportunity, and I just led me to get my scholarships to my first college scholarship actually was to Middle Tennessee State, and then to now get the bigger offers, and I got to University of Louisville, University of Kentucky, and then the Missouris came out, and then I actually ultimately made my decision to go to University of Louisville where I got my undergrad in. And it just went on from there. I seen my coach go down to University of Florida, and I hopped on that opportunity as well. Every opportunity that I had seen a glimpse of, I just seized it, and that it led me to great success, and that's where I ended up today.
Yeah. So when you made the transition from Louisville to Florida, how difficult or how much thought did you put into that?
Yeah, it was a lot. I mean, it definitely wasn't an easy decision just because overall, I had to weigh out the pros and the cons with it. I could make one decision. I was going to be benefiting in one area and losing in one end. So, obviously, if someone else in my position, going from Louisville to Florida, they would have to weigh out those options. Meaning, if I go to Florida, I'm just going to go there for the football aspect. The experience of having the fun, I guess you can say, in college was going to go out the door because this is a business trip. Once I made that decision, it ultimately came down to, what am I going to gain out of this? And I understood why I'm making this decision. It was a no-brainer. And obviously with my coach down there as well, you see I was going to get a better advantage as far as from the coaching standpoint. So all of that kind of tied into it. And I knew what was my reason and what my why was going down there. So that decision was very, very easy at the end of the day once I graduated.
Absolutely. So tell us about Jonathan Greenard off the field. Who is that guy?
I'm a jack of all trades, I like to say sometimes. I can do a little bit of, I sing a little bit on the side sometimes. I started singing when I was a little kid. But no, just something that I did on the side, just to, when I'm walking around or in the shower, just to pop out a little tune a little bit. I get it from my mom, my sister as well. We all kind of grew up singing together in the church household. So basically, off the field, I like to be a homebody. I mean, I like to get off my feet as much as possible when I can, because I mean that phone call, I got to go right back up and do some more working out or something like that. So me staying in the house, I like to enjoy the family time, enjoy time just resting and relaxing when I get a chance.
Absolutely. Well, let's bring on Mom Carmen. Hey, Mom Carmen.
Hi, how you doing?
Good. How are you?
Hi, thank you for having me.
You're so welcome. You were such a joy last week when we did the luncheon that we knew we had to bring the two superstars back on. So tell us a little bit about what that journey looked like for you with Jonathan and him transitioning from Louisville to Florida, and just you as a mom. How did that go with you? You have other children, and so how was that journey for you as the mom?
From the very beginning with my children, I've always wanted to keep them active and busy doing something, because with children you have to do that. You have to keep them involved. Um, uh, for me, upbringing, the motto was idle mind is the devil's workshop. So, with that said, with school, and I know Jonathan was a very rambunctious little boy, so I had to keep him busy. So when he was about 4 years or so, I was at my daughter's middle school at a PTA meeting, and there was a gentleman that walked up to me and he asked me, did he play football? And I said, no. He said, well, how old is he? I said, 4. He said, 4? Because Jonathan was born, he was 10 pounds, 4 ounces, but he was 12 inches long. So he was a big baby. And so he assumed that he was much older. And so he said, when Jonathan turned 5, give me a call. And I kept the business card in my purse. And when Jonathan turned 5 the following year, that May, I gave him a call. And his brother was 8, Jonathan was 5, and I entered them into recreational football, and it started from there. And Jonathan they went all the way up. And what I did was I told them, I said, if you play football, you must do something in church. So from Sunday school to vacational Bible school to the youth choir, I kept them involved. So for me, and my schedule was 3 children. My husband, he was alive at that time. It was something always to do. And then they had practice Monday, Tuesday, and Thursday. And then every weekend they had games. So my schedule was very busy. And then I worked full time. So it was hard. It was much sacrifices, but it paid off. And when he got into high school, the 10th grade was like junior varsity, and then it went into varsity. And he started excelling in the 11th grade, 12th grade, and then the scholarship offers came. And that's when Todd Grantham came to Hiram High School and offered the scholarship to Jonathan. And his first, it was offered to the University of Kentucky. And then that situation occurred where they reneged, but it was meant for him to be at the University of Louisville. So when I got up to Louisville, it was something about that environment. And as I watched Jonathan do the drills, I was like, I was checking things out and I felt very comfortable. So the offer was made. And the first year he redshirted because I wanted him to get acclimated to the school. And that's what he did. And that next year during the spring game, he did an interception. And when the interception came, Jonathan just started excelling. And from each year, he excels and excels. And then the 2018 year, that game, first game against Alabama, that's when the injury came. And when the injury came, 3 weeks before the game, leading up to it, I kept having just a queasy in my stomach, just a nervous. I thought it was anxiety leading to the game. But that day of the game, it never went away. Everybody was having a good time, my family, but I kept feeling nauseated. And so when the game started, I wasn't paying attention, besides kept looking at the Teletron, and the way we were sitting, I couldn't see him. And for some reason, our phone started to ring, and it was people saying, "Is he okay?" And so we were like, "Is he okay? What are they talking about?" And when they replayed it, I immediately said, "I'll be back." And I walked around and I walked around and I got to that locker room. But by the time I got there, he was already inside. And when he walked out, they had the cast on his arm. And he was walking out and he was looking defeated. But I said, "No, son, hold your head up. You're the team captain. Go out there, cheer your team on. We'll deal with this when we get back to Louisville." And of course, the doctor called about 5:30 that morning and stated that he was going to perform the surgery, and they'll give me a call back, afterwards. And they called back and said that it was a success.
Mhm.
And so the next thing for me as a mother was to fly to Louisville and support him mentally, to
Right.
give him that support that he would need because he was defeated.
Mhm.
And so, that's what we did. And like I told him, a delay was not a deny. And he laid there and it was a struggle. It was hard for him because he had never missed a season,
Mhm.
playing sports.
Right.
Anything took place was off season. So he made a plan. In his mind, he had a plan. And Jonathan is the type of kid, you tell him no. In his mind, he's saying, yes, I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna come up with something. So later on, when I got back home after all of that, and he going through rehab, he came. He said, "Mom, I think I'm gonna put my name in the portal transfer, and I'm gonna graduate early." And that's what he did. He had a plan. And so he doubled up on those classes. And for me, I'm saying to myself, this boy done got to Louisville. He's pledged Omega. He went through that in secrecy.
Mhm.
And then now he's coming up with this plan.
Mhm.
And he finished, he graduated that December. And shoot, we was out of there. And so
Wow.
next thing I know, we're in Florida.
Mhm.
And he did not go to Florida with a chip on his shoulder. He went there and he he did what he needed to do.
Mhm.
He worked hard, excuse me, he worked hard. And next thing I know, spring game, he showed up. Because when I got to the game, I said, "Oh, these boys are fast. This is another level here, SEC." But I knew that he could handle the task, and he did. He proved them that he could, and so he had a great season. Little bump here and there, but he overcome that. And I'm just thanking God. Draft day. I mean, draft day came. I'm reading the reviews on Google, and that's something, as a parent, people say, don't read that, don't listen to that. But as a parent, that's hard not to do. You want to
Right.
hear the reviews, what people are saying,
Mhm.
but at the same time, I'm saying, what are they looking at? Because this is not my son. My son is better than that. So,
Mhm.
and I was a little disappointed, a little discouraged, but my husband said, throw that, don't stop looking at it.
Right.
But on draft day, it was hard. It was a process. My nerves was a mess. I was a wreck. But I had to go into prayer and say, God, whatever you have for him, it's for him. Wherever he lands, it's gonna work itself out. And throughout the first day, okay, he's not gonna be first round. And as talking to his agent, my husband, and other people that been through that,
Mhm.
I finally figured out it doesn't matter where he goes. It's once he get there. If he gets there, once again, then you prove yourself, you show them. And so and then once you get there, in that next contract, okay, then that's what it matters. So
Mhm.
I'm thankful. I'm
Yeah.
blessed. He's worked very hard. He earned it, and so here we are.
Here we are. Here we are. So,
Hmm.
Jonathan, as I talked to your mom, and I've had the pleasure of knowing you guys for a while, but talking to her, seeing how strong she is, how supportive she is, it's got to be a blessing to have such a supportive mom, a supportive family. And I know she mentioned your father who had passed. What type of influence did he have in your life prior to his
Yeah.
passing and now?
Oh yeah. Yeah, right. I mean, he was a huge influence. I mean, it's kind of a tie. Most times they'll say, he's a mama's boy and this and that. I call it the balance. I love my dad, and I love to go over there. I love to be on them with the weekends. The times we had me and my brother and my sister sometimes. But yeah, he's the reason why I'm a student of the game. I pretty much started watching film when I was 5 years old. We still have our film from that time too when I'm playing running back. And he's sitting there going through it, telling me this and that. I mean, he's on us too. So he was really hard, knows about us when it came to that football field, which led to us, just putting the icing on the cake from my mom's teaching. So, she handled most times on the off the field and make sure, we had the chores done. We had, things cleaned up around the house. We made sure that we were on top of everything as far as homework as well. When it came to that football field, I mean, it was another level. I mean, he turned it up all the way.
Right.
But it definitely did help me become a better student of the game, which led to more production on the field for myself. They ask me all the time, where did you get this film study from so much, and why do you watch so much film, or how do you watch so much film? And I said, I mean, it's just a thing that my father pretty much instilled in us and drove into us since we were kids. I mean, that's all we kind of know. We're not the fastest, not the strongest, or the biggest, but we're always gonna put ourselves in the best situation to be successful.
Right. Right. Okay. So we've done the collegiate aspect of it. Walk us through
Mhm.
that pre-draft. Like once you
Yeah.
started assembling your team and
Mhm.
getting into, going to the combine and
Right.
training. What does that journey look like?
Yeah, so when the season finally ended, it definitely was one of those, like, I kind of had an idea of who my team could possibly be. I kind of had, I already had the agent kind of lined up since he was a guy that kind of watched me back in Louisville. And then obviously with my lawyer, obviously with you, my mother already did the pre talks beforehand and made sure that everything was legit, I kind of already knew it was going to be.
Mhm.
And, I had an idea already. So I didn't go into it kind of blind.
Mhm.
But it just once I basically had put I call it the screening process through my mom.
Mhm.
She basically got all the BS out the way, and then I seen that my team was right here, and she's like, "Okay, look, this is who we have, who our best candidates are, and we're just gonna go from here." So I picked all the best ones and led to my team now. And then after the season was over with, all it was is just basically putting pen to paper at that point. So when that process was over, then I had to get ready for the combine. That was a tedious and very long process, very stressful, but I was ready for it. I already I knew what to expect already going in, just talking to guys in the past who've been through this process. I knew that it was going to be a lot of workouts, a lot of talking with teams, and it's just going to be a waiting game. So when I
Mhm.
got down to Pensacola, which is where I trained at Exos, it was great. I mean, I basically stayed in this place called Portofino that basically was a condo for me, and it was absolutely beautiful. We had a view of the ocean. The Gulf of Mexico was right behind us, so we could see everything easily, walk across and go to the beach. So basically, it was like me. I'm working out, and I'm just going on vacation in the afternoon. So it was very great. I got my family to come down there and see it, and my girlfriend got to come as well just to see and experience the same thing I was experiencing.
Mhm.
And then the Senior Bowl came, which was in the middle or the end of January, which is January 25th, I believe. And that whole week was basically another process of the combine. So basically, we were practicing, scrimmaging against the top seniors all across the world. Obviously, with the NFL coaches there, everyone is there as well. Interviewing you, bring you up to the room. I mean, you literally walk downstairs, and it's a bidding war. They literally like, all right, hey, let me talk to you for a couple of seconds. We talk to you for a couple of seconds. Like they literally are leeches just grabbing out at you. But that process was very long. I mean, you're waking up at 6 a.m. in the morning, not going to sleep till nearly 1 o'clock at night, and you have to do that all week. Just consistently doing that. They just want to see, test your mind, see, do you really want it? How are you going to act when you're tired and you're facing adversity? So I excelled in that. Did really well in the game. Did really well in the practices for the teams that like me. And then basically the week goes to the combine, and the combine is basically the same exact thing, just without the pass now in the game. So now you just have to show your testing abilities, run the 40, do drills that kind of for your position specifically, and they want to see how you do. And the same thing again when it comes to the interviews. You're interviewing with the GMs and the owners. I mean, the Miami Dolphins, I met with them, and I'm sitting in front of Dan Marino. So that was one of those type of things where I was like, I mean, this is actually real. And, had meetings with the Texans, I had meeting with the Seahawks, had a meeting with just about half of the NFL, and that was a really good feeling as well too, just to be considered as that a guy that they want for your organization to put them over that hump. Is definitely something I'll be very grateful for. And then after the combine, it was kind of like it was really the wedding game, and obviously with the pandemic going on, everything was kind of put on hold somewhat. They didn't know where we're going to go in what direction. We're still in talks about having a season, but they're having a plan going on right now that they're going to eventually. I think it'll possibly still happen with a couple moderations a little bit. But
Mhm.
overall, when that time came, when draft day come, it actually came very, very fast. I mean, we literally came back from the combine. That month of March literally flew by, and then April came, and then now we're at the end of April. So that those 2-3 weeks in April flew by so fast. The draft came upon you just so fast. So initially we're going to have a draft party, but obviously with the pandemic they shut that down. But we ended up having it together with just some immediate family, and me and my girlfriend, her family as well, and a couple friends. So obviously due to restriction and the rules. But yeah, that whole process was very, very stressful. Friday, Thursday, I knew I wasn't. It was a chance I could go first round, but like my mom said, just talking with everyone else, those chances kind of went down. So I kind of had my mind set on day 2, which was a Friday, second and third round. So I knew the second round was kind of still on the table a little bit. It just depends on who they pick beforehand to see if things play in to our advantage. But we just stayed patient with it. And the third round came around, and we're just seeing picks. Now around this time it's starting to creep up. I'm like, all right, guys, this could be our time. So after the 72nd pick, which was the Cardinals, my agent told me to just keep a lookout for them, who's a team that I ended up meeting with down in Atlanta as well. and I seen they chose someone else. Then the next team after that, I seen the Seahawks. Seahawks had someone else. They ended up picking a different position. I said, okay. Well, I ended up telling my girlfriend, it was on the 86 pick, and I think that was the Buffalo Bills, and that was a team that showed a lot of interest in me as well. So I said, literally leaned over to her, I said, look, if we don't go right here, it's possibly gonna be tomorrow. And I was like, okay. When I seen them then pick me, when they didn't pick me, I was like, okay. I took a big deep breath. But then as soon as it went down to 87, it shows you the teams that are up next. So it had from 87 to 90, 90 being the Houston Texans. And I looked over after this, we both looked at each other after kind of a little bit of disappointment when the 86 pick went by. I looked and I said, I forgot about Houston. And as soon as I said I forgot about Houston, my phone started ringing. And I looked down and I seen Houston, Texas area code, and I said, okay. Answer the phone, and it was the head coach. And then we were sitting there talking for a bit. And I just tell him that, you guys are going to get a dog. That's all I could say, because it was just, I was so ready to play, not even enjoying the moment. I said, look, you guys are going to get a dog, a guy who's going to work his butt off. You all don't understand what you all just did out of this situation and bringing me up into this organization. Just because I know myself. I know what I could bring to the table. I mean, I'm not a one-trick pony, and I can just basically, do anything you want me to drop. I can do that. I can rush the pass. I can tackle. I can do whatever you need me to do. I told him I would do it. So to get that, it was a huge, huge sigh of relief that was all in that room. And just, we all were rejoicing just because it's this long journey from me. Like my mother mentioned, 2018, I was not be able to use my wrist. I mean, I couldn't even lift my hand up. Me playing my defensive line position is huge in that. That's all we do is play with our hands. So not knowing, and the doctor's telling me you won't be able to be doing a push-up again. You won't be able to do bench press ever again. You probably won't be able to use your three-point stance again. A lot of things they told me, I just kept just breaking the barriers and breaking the obstacles and knocking them down. And, this just was another one. Even though it's a draft for me, and it's a very good day, I just feel like it's another obstacle because, this is another way you can get complacent. And I hate complacency. So now to get to this point and actually be able to get over that hump and now work towards something more in the future, it's very overwhelming.
Absolutely. Oh my gosh. I just got chills just listening to you. We saw the video of you getting the call. So it was like we were in the moment with you, which is phenomenal. So proud of you. So I'm gonna bring in Mama Carmen again. Mama Carmen, how was it for you, the pre-draft, the pre-draft selection? How did you go about? Because it seems like you were very, very, very hands-on and instrumental in Jonathan picking his team of advisors and just getting him prepared for this next step. So how was it for you? What was your journey like?
For me, it was something new, of course. I am a business person, and this was a new adventure, but I have been put in contact with different people that's in that arena. I spoke with Eric Berry mom, Kara Berry, Jawan Taylor's mom, Wendy Taylor. I spoke with Dale Johnson, which is Chauncey Johnson's mother. So people that's there, I had an opportunity to speak with, and they was like giving me some guidance. But then from the rest of the way, I'm a Google person too. I start Googling. And then one day I also got a call from Mr. Rennie Kmore, insurance guy. And he really set me on the right track. Somebody referred him to me. I don't know who, but once he called me, I'm an inquisitive person. I ask a lot of questions. I ask questions. And I start jotting down as I'm talking. And once I started speaking with him, start guiding me. And then I'm a prayerful person. God direct me. And if this person not supposed to be there for me, remove them. And during that process, it just started opening up. And then he had a lot of people, financial advisors calling me, also soliciting. And so I never turn people away. I will give them my email, my P.O. box, send your literature to me. I will look it over and I will get back with you. And so I sat there. I have so much stuff I have looked through. And then I start narrowing it down. My thing was I wanted Jonathan to stay focused on what he was doing because he has so much to stay focused on. That's the last thing I need for him to be worried about. And so during that process, that's all I did. I just started reading and narrowing it down. So as time came closer, I knew I needed to get the financial advisor. I needed a CPA. I needed to get that insurance out the way, and I needed an attorney. And so when I came and I solicit your services and I started speaking with you, you really helped me so much. And the final process after we narrowed down that agent and we got them to Atlanta with you, of course, Jonathan did his job. He had his questions. You and I, we sat there.
You said that.
And sometimes people underestimate young people, but I trained him well. And so he answered all those questions, and the agent was looking like, okay.
That
They
moment is still embedded in the back of my mind.
yeah. And so I was like, okay, baby, do your thing. So once he did that, everything started rolling, and and that's how I've raised all my children to handle their business. I always tell them, when I tell you something, I'm not trying to beat you down. I'm trying to get you prepared for the real world out here, because they're not gonna pamper you like mama. They're not gonna. Sometimes they're not gonna correct you. They're gonna let you fall. And they're gonna take advantage of you. I got to give it to you the right way. So he handled himself, and I will continue to be beside him. I know when to step back and let him, handle his business. I'm not an overbearing mom, but I'm going to be always overseeing. So when I see something that's not right, I'm going to say something, because it's a big difference from 52 and 22.
Yes,
You
it
know,
is.
wisdom.
Mhm.
So that's just where I am, and that's how that process went. So here we are in a new adventure, new area, and I'm talking to him still, and I'm letting him, lead the way, but I'm still guiding and listening and watching as we go with this process. And at some point, I do know he'll be fine. I'll know when to step back, and then I can relax and say, "Thank you, Jesus. I'm done."
Mhm.
That's it.
So are you now, Mama Carmen, taking an active role in his professional career?
Yes, yes. I'm not working anymore full time, so I have that opportunity to do that. So, and I thank God that I am in a position, to do that. I'm remarried. I have a husband, so and I'm thankful that he's allowing me to, do that and take care of a lot of things. Everybody not fortunate to be in that position. So, of course, I told you, I had an accident two years
Mhm.
ago at work, and it put me in a position where I had to take off and take care of myself for a minute, but it allowed me to do what I'm doing now for Jonathan. So it was a blessing in disguise with that situation. So I'm just going to sit back and enjoy the ride, because I've worked a long time, 35 years, a long time. And so I was tired anyway. So it worked out in my favor. But it's all good, and I'm excited. I'm just so elated to just see the blessing, because he really deserves it. He has worked very, very hard. People don't know him. He's a good child. He's not perfect, but he's a good child. He's worked hard. He deserves it. So when they call his name, if that man was sitting next to me, I would have hugged and kissed him myself. Thank you. Yeah.
So Jonathan, now since we've gotten through the draft, how was the experience with it being a virtual draft versus in person? And did you have expectations? But I know that you guys had planned a fabulous, because I had already gotten my nice little my nice little dress and my high heels ready to come to the party. So how did that change? What were your expectations going in? How was it different? I mean, you guys have made history because you were a part of the first virtual draft. So that's something
Right,
in of itself to be proud about. So what was
right.
that? How was that for you?
Yeah, it was. I mean, my whole thing was even before the draft, leading up to it. It was also ongoing conversation. I kind of didn't really want to go to
Mhm.
Vegas for the draft. I wanted to be with my family, just be at home and just celebrate with them. Just because, these are the people who got me here. I mean, it's not many of us that who it's not many of in our family. It's really the ones, or at least the ones that we talk to that are very close with us. So I want to just be with them and just cherish this moment, just because they've been a part of this huge journey. But obviously, just with the whole thing going down, I mean, it actually worked out, and it's crazy. Like I said, me not wanting to go to Vegas, it played right into my hands, because I was gonna be doing this anyway. So to actually experience all this, and the other guys as well, and I think talking to other guys who were in the draft as well, they loved it as well, just because they can obviously just be at home with their family. They can experience that phone call with their family, just sitting there, and then it all just plays a huge part. The environment was amazing, the energy was amazing. Like I said, obviously I was hoping to go earlier, but I think if I'd have went earlier, I'd have went to a place that was not for me. I think with this situation, I came to a really great situation. I'm learning from a future Hall of Famer, J.J. Watt, other guys like Whitney Merciless, guys playing my position where I grew up watching and idolizing my game after. To actually be a part of that and be a part of potentially starting role in on this team, it's nothing more that I could ask for.
Mhm. And Mama Carmen, so we know that you are the event planner, caterer extraordinaire. So how did the change of not having the big celebration that you had planned for to kind of scaling it down, how did that affect you, or how did that work in your favor?
Well, of course, I would love to have been in Vegas because I've been to Vegas before, and he told me early on that he really didn't want to go to Vegas, and I was like, boy, that's a once in a lifetime opportunity. And I've always wanted my children to experience the fine dining and all those things. But since he said he didn't want to, I didn't push it, and then come to find out he wasn't invited.
Mhm.
So, I did set up a large event for him here in Douglasville, Georgia, at a conference center. And I think we was going to have about 300 guests. We could have had more because we know so many people, but we had to narrow it down, of course. But then look how it turned out. We only had about 15 people at a small conference room at a hotel. So it was okay. It was okay. This is how it was supposed to have been.
Mhm.
We were okay with it. We celebrated, and we have plenty of time in the near future. It's going to be so many things that come up that we're going to have time to celebrate. So it wasn't a big thing. I'm just glad we got our money back.
Right, right. So we're gonna have a big party when all of these restrictions are lifted.
Right.
We may even do a pre going to Houston party for you. How
Yeah,
about that?
Right.
exactly,
Hey, I'm
exactly.
down with
Yeah,
that.
yeah, 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 yeah.
Right.
So
Yeah.
Jonathan, what's next for you? What's next during this time? I mean, I know in Louisiana they've extended the stay-at-home mandates.
Right.
I'm sure the league is looking at, when you guys can actually come, because technically you would have been going to the team right after your name had been called. So what's
Right.
next for you now during this time of just kind of staying in?
Yeah. So I've been talking to the shrimp coach, the head shrimp coach there, and he was kind of saying the same things, and kind of like, we're kind of waiting. He wants to basically make sure I stay in shape. He said, hell, if I could, I'll bring you up to my house and work you out myself. And I said, look, I'll take up on that offer now, just to do anything, be with the team, and come down and just get acclimated in some sort of fashion. It'll be really good. But they just had a meeting yesterday. They're still in talks with how they want to do it. They're obviously working on the contingency plan that hopefully still have us playing in the near future. But I think with Georgia having their stay-at-home orders kind of lifted somewhat in this plan of a reopening plan, a lot of more Republican states like Texas are ones who are definitely going to try to open their stuff up kind of slowly as well. I think they are going to start pushing things back, I think, a little bit more to May 8th, where they're going to start that second phase of the opening plan. But I don't know if that has an effect on, just for my organization there, or is this for the entire NFL? Because obviously some other states aren't doing what Texas is doing. But like I said, we're just waiting. I mean, I'm still trying to stay in shape by running and working out, just doing my part of mine. So when that time does come, I'll be ready.
Right. So what is it that we don't know that you want people to know about Jonathan Greenard? Outside of the fact that you are an excellent singer, by the way, and I'm gonna need, if
All
you are so inclined, to do a couple of verses for us, if you want to. No pressure, no pressure. But I heard that beautiful voice of yours, and I'm just like, man, you talking about jack of all
Yeah.
trades. So what do you want people to know about who you are outside of the stats and everything we've just talked about? Who is that guy?
Right. I mean, it's one thing is, I'm a like I said, jack of all trades. I sing, I do community service in my fraternity as well. But it's just one thing that everywhere I go, I have an impact on whatever I do, whether it's me meeting somebody or helping out somebody. There's nobody in this world that honestly has one thing bad to say about me. If they do, I tell them all the time they need to check that person, just because, I pride myself on making sure that I treat everyone equally, treat everyone with the same respect I get. And that's what I was been brought up. My mother, my father kind of instilled in us. So every time that I get an opportunity, help someone out, by talking to somebody, or, going out to help somebody, doing whatever I can possibly, I'm there for it. I love to network. I love the market. I'm obviously working on my MBA right now. I'll be done, and I got 18 more credit hours, and I get my MBA at the University of Florida, which is really huge. That I didn't know much about until once I got down there, and they were just basically, enlighten me on that just because of how important this is. And I already expressed to my director saying, look, when this time flies over, I definitely want to get that knocked out. So when I get my MBA, I'm going to definitely get into, my mother's wanting to get into the consulting area. I want to definitely get back to this little mentoring area, helping giving back to the youth, because a lot of guys over here in Hiram, you have some guys who have potential to do it, but they never follow through on it. There's so much talent in this area and even around the area for just to be an impact on guys like myself, or guys that were coming up like myself, guys who weren't the biggest or the strongest, didn't have everything made out on a silver spoon. But I just love to give back. I love the work. I would sing, but as you can hear this voice right now, it ain't a little warmed up.
Right.
Like I said all the time, when I get to this point where I can get paid on these occasions for these little voices, these little verses I drop down, then look, we're gonna be right on it.
We're gonna be making it, right?
Exactly.
Because I'm looking in the chat, and let me just remind everybody, if you got any questions, just let us know. We want this to be engaging, involved. We want it to be interactive. So if you have any questions for Jonathan or Mama Carmen, definitely drop it in our chat box, because we're looking. But we've gotten comments so far, Jonathan, about the voice, and one of your sorority sisters said she's not putting any pressure on you. She wants you to sing, but we know that that's going to be tabled, so we'll have to just table that. So
we're going to get it, though.
But talk to me more about your philanthropy, because I knew meeting with you that you were very philanthropic, and that's exactly what we're about, Ombi Group. So we were definitely on our end a natural fit for you. But I want you to talk to us about what that looks like. I mean, you have been giving back for so long as a professional athlete with such a huge platform now. What does that look like for you?
Yeah, I just love, like I said, I've been around guys. Like I said, my internship back in Louisville, I was interning with a guy by the name William Savoy, who had a pretty much top gym around there in the University of Louisville. And I interned with him, and I kind of just seen how, you can give back to the youth so much in ways that are just not monetary, by just giving advice or having seminars just to talk to guys what to expect, even at the collegiate level or even the real world. I love to just give back in so many ways, just because, at certain points, I didn't have those resources just from somebody up higher up in my position now to be able to prepare me for what is to come. I kind of had to learn it somewhat on the fly, and it helped out. It worked out a lot. My thing especially is when I get hopefully when I get my MBA, I have a business plan kind of set up to open up a training facility. It have a lot of guys come in from all around. I have it in Kennesaw area, so from all around the area or the state of Georgia, if not, to come and train. And I'm not going to tax everybody across the head just because this is another person, another individual. I'm looking at it as a seed, and I'm just watering the seed so that way they can get to where I want to be, or get higher than I am, because I never had any jealousy, never had any envy in my heart. If somebody's doing better than me, hats off to you. If somebody needs to work on something, I'll be right there for you, even when it goes to the football area. If you get a little slow on the curve, I'm definitely going to be able to help you out. So any ways that I can help impossible, obviously just with a little bit more time, a little bit more talks about it, we can definitely get things going and running, especially when this thing is over with, so that way I can help out in any way I can.
We're ready. We've been talking, so we'll start that talking now, because we know that we want you to get, like Mama Carmen said, we want you to get acclimated on the field, but that off the field is just as important. So we're ready to start getting you out there and having your genuine, true philanthropic self just resound across the country. So we're ready for it. Mama Carmen, we got a question for you. So what was the best advice that you've gotten from some of the moms?
A lot of the moms told me to stay involved, stay connected with my son, because a lot of the agents and financial advisors try to separate the mothers from the son. And I will not do that. I will stay involved, because a lot of things that they don't know, we can see. And so I will stay involved.
Very good. Jonathan, what was the biggest moment for you? Just looking back over your life, what has been the biggest moment? That is a two-part question. What has been the biggest moment, one, and then what would you have told your younger self? What would you tell that little 14-year-old self of yours?
Right. I think one thing that I did, I think, just because I was caught up in the process, is when I was actually graduating to get my undergrad from the University of Louisville. That was one of those moments that, you know, I was so looking forward to getting down to Florida and understanding what was next, or worrying about what was next, that I didn't get to enjoy that moment and live in that moment. Not understanding being a college graduate is a huge, huge, huge accomplishment, just because of, you know, a lot of people kind of get it mixed up. A lot of younger people as well, when they say either college is a scam, which I have my thoughts and process of my whole conspiracy to that as well. But just understanding that, you know, getting your degree is a certificate just to learn, be able to get your foot in that door. Not necessarily saying you're going to get that job or you're going to have the greatest success in that career, but it puts you above a lot of other people just because they haven't got to that point or done that little piece of time and that little extra thing to do just to separate themselves. So when I graduated, that honestly was a moment I wish I just enjoyed a lot more, because, you know, a lot of many people don't make it to that point. I mean, a lot of people don't even graduate high school. So to even get to that moment was a huge accomplishment. And then for me, keeping myself ahead of the game by having a plan for what's next. It's a good and bad thing, just because, you know, you can be looking forward to what's next so much that you forget to live in the moment. So I definitely would say that.
Good. Okay, John, we got a question for you. What would you have done differently on your journey to the NFL?
Me, honestly, I don't think I would have done anything different, just because, you know, obviously it may sound cliche because it would have made me who I am today, but just because of, you know, the friendships and the camaraderie that I built with the teammates, you know, at Louisville. I could easily say, you know, you should have went to this school that prepared you way different than to get to Florida, but it all just aligned perfectly. You know, when you make a decision, you know, whether it was a good or bad decision, God's going to find a way to make sure that it's either going to confirm that decision or make you redirect your path. So when I was at University of Louisville, I was like, you know, at first when I got down there, say maybe, you know, we're doing really well, you know, kind of on the hot spot a little bit, just because, you know, we had Lamar, obviously him winning the Heisman, so we're on the up right now. But how can I make myself be more than what I'm doing right now? And, you know, I just kind of just sat back. When me getting hurt, just honestly just said, look, slow down. You know, going into that 2018 season, we had our minds made up. All right, well, after the season, I'm leaving, going to the draft, no matter what. Though that was our decision, that wasn't God's decision, and that wasn't his plan. So we honestly tried to take matters in our own hands, and it basically set us right down and just said, look, take a second, relax. This thing is not going nowhere. When you understand of what I want to do is what we're going to do and not what you want to do, then that's when everything went smoother. So when I got hurt, you know, I was very devastated. I mean, like I said, I've never missed any time like that ever. And to have it happen that way, in that fashion, obviously with the second series into the game, you know, working all those months leading up to that moment, it was a heartbreaker. So once I just sat back and realized, why did this happen to me? Why me? You know, I try to look for everything of, am I living right? I felt like I was living right. But then again, I had to rethink about myself, and I said, am I really living right? Am I really living the way I should be to deserve all these accolades or deserve the things that I want out of life? And I wasn't. And I had to have an honest conversation with myself and sit back and realize, are you really living your true creed? Are you living how you say you are? You walking out and it's portraying this image, and then you put on another facade when you go out there just for this moment. And that's what was happening. And I'm a true believer that, you know, if you're not living right, you're not going to get the results you want. So when I actually sat down to make that decision, and I started living better by, you know, talking to a lot more friends, a lot more, talking to my mom a lot more, talking to my family a lot more, having the talks, you know, not trying to live that fast life, but more so, and just sit down and actually live a life that God wanted me to live, it led to ultimate success. So I would definitely say, just if I had one thing to say, is definitely just be closer to your family. Listen to the things that they're saying. Listen to what your friends are saying. You know, listen to your conscience. Trust your heart, trust your gut. Because it would never lead you wrong. Because, I mean, there's a lot of times I could have made a decision and I strayed away just because I had second thoughts about it. So definitely to that younger Jonathan, stick with your gut.
So has anyone ever told you have an old soul, like you're wise beyond your years? You get that a lot?
Yes, I hear that a lot. Being a baby and being around my mom and watching all my life, you soak up everything. You soak up everything.
So the maturity definitely speaks volumes to how
Right.
Mama Carmen and your father and your stepfather have raised you. Why is it? And she mentioned a little bit about you having a plan and appreciating it and following through with that plan. How important is it in your life to have a plan off and on the field?
Right. It's huge. I mean, if you don't have a plan, you don't know where you're going. It's just because you're just going to be working for nothing almost. I mean, that whole plan didn't come into play as far as me transferring until about later on that year when I was about literally a month away from graduation. And I had to make that decision. It was always in the back of my mind, but just to actually put a plan in effect and actually follow through with that plan and not, you know, because I knew myself at that situation, I knew something bad was going to come out of this. I mean, you're going to receive some backlash from whatever doing this. But at the end of the day, when you make a decision for yourself, you can't worry about that. You have to worry about it a little bit of somewhat. But at the end of the day, if you keep worrying about it, you're going to fall back on your decision. You're not going to follow through on that. So when I actually had a chance to, you know, put those plans into effect and obviously have some lined up, like she mentioned, when I was pledging online, I was basically becoming the bros. I literally had to make sure that I had some lined up. Am I going to have, you know, my academics aligned? Am I going to do this and next aligned? So what's the next coming from that? Had a plan with that. When this came up, I said, look, if I do this, I'll be able to graduate. I'll be able to go into there and not have to sit out a year. Had that plan in effect. When this came out, as far as having our team in the line, look, we're going to have this meeting, we're going to do this and that. And by this time, we're going to let you deal with football. Me and my mom, we sat down way before the season. Was like, look, I'm gonna let you worry about all the outside stuff right now. I'm be worrying about football. Just kind of keep me posted a little bit. And when that time comes, we get a little bit of time, then we can actually have a sit down meeting and we can follow through on all the things that we talked about. So having a plan is really essential. I mean, it's got me to this point. I feel like I've gotten a lot better and still could get a lot better in aspects by just keeping on the up and up. But that's what I have resources for. I got my mom, got my girlfriend, got a lot of people around who kind of keep in the loop of things. I got my agent as well. So I have a good team in my hands. You know, when you have a good team and a good plan, I mean, the only way you fail is you.
That's right. Mama Carmen, I have a question for you. Now, you received, as you mentioned, some good advice from some moms as kind of like the rookie mom. Now, since you're like, you have ascended to, I have my babies in the league, mom, what is some advice that you would give some moms whose sons are about to come out and are trying to figure this whole thing out? Because like you said, it was very overwhelming. It's a lot of information. What advice would you give those moms coming up?
I would advise them to reach out and then me myself, I would well, someone did reach out to me the other day, and I would advise them to really listen, take notes, because they've been there, and me, I'm a straight shooter when I talk to people, and I tell them don't make it personal. I just got to give it to you facts, because that's what's going to help you. I can't sugarcoat it, because this is real, what's happening out here. So when they get into this arena, ask questions. And when those agents and stuff start calling you, ask questions. Accept their literature. Accept the phone calls. I've had mothers, when I start going into different schools to games, and they know Jonathan. They say, you're Jonathan's mom. They are inquisitive, and they ask me questions. They'll say, well, I haven't talked to any agents. I don't answer the phone calls. I said, no, answer the phone calls. Get the information and read over it, because that's the only way you're going to know. And you need to do this ahead of time. They start calling that junior year, get it. And then start researching it then, because these are things that you're going to need to know leading up to them getting selected. And I said, the more, the better. And especially when your son is getting popular like that, a lot of things is going to come to you, and you need to know a lot leading to them being selected. So, and just don't jump at the first thing come to you. Research those agents, research those financial advisors, research those attorneys, because everything sounds good, but you gotta know what you know when you're dealing with those people. So I do tell every parent, answer the phone calls, get the information, read it, research, and then if you don't know, find somebody that can help you that do know. Because I don't know everything, and a lot of this was a little foreign to me. So I even had to ask somebody that could assist me with these questions.
So, and in our conversations, and what I appreciated most about you in our conversations and Jonathan, is that you guys were very receptive to knowing that you are building a good team of people and we all stay in our lane. So legal is a forte, agent negotiation, financial advisor, finances, marketing person, marketing, so I was appreciative of you guys because you were very receptive of taking in the information, and we were all walking that journey together. And as we talk, it's very very inspiring to hear that you want to be able to be the resource, both you and Jonathan. And Jonathan, you know, we've had huge conversations about you,
Right.
you know, going back to Florida, talking to some of these young men about your journey and what they need to do to start preparing. But both you and Mama Carmen do the same things. And I appreciate that, because not a lot of people, they're like, once we're made it, we made it. And I mean, it's really nothing else we want to share, but you guys are such a giving family and you share. Where did that come from? And what motivates you to want to be able to pull back to the new moms coming up, Mama Carmen, and you, Jonathan, pulling back to the young, pulling up the young men who are coming up after you?
Well,
Where did that motivation come from?
for me, my upbringing.
Hmm.
My upbringing, I was a foster child, and so that's what it was a lot of things I did not have. A lot of things were limited, and now that I'm an adult and I have children, I have a very caring spirit, and children are very dear to me. Um, if I could save the world with children, my heart is so big, but I know I can't. And so when it comes to my children, I said I'm gonna do everything I can to help, love. I don't care if they 50, 60 years old. I'm gonna love them to the day I die. And I see so many children are just pushed to the wayside, and I think it's so unfair. Children are a gift from God, and we should treat them like precious jewels, gifts that God has given them to us. And so that's how I treat my children, and I guide them, and I love and I cherish and I nourish them. That's just how it should be. And so a lot of my children's friends, they come around and they have their peers, but they just gravitate to me, and I just love on them, and they're grown up, and I will always love them. If I can help them, I will help them, and that's just the loving, caring spirit that I have. So my heart goes out to children that suffer and don't have, things. And so I've done without for a long time. But you know what? I don't look back. I look forward. And so I just try to help as many people as I can because somebody helped me. And so with that being said, the blessings that I have was given, I can bless somebody else with the gifts that was given to me.
Wow. So Jonathan, we don't have to look too far to see how inspiring and motivated you are to want to give back. But tell us a little bit about what that looks like for you, because we've had really good conversations about that and kind of building up to that even before this pandemic hit.
Right. It's a lot just because I've seen so many situations and being in college, you see a lot of upbringings and talking with a lot of guys, and you'll be surprised to hear what these guys have been through. I lost my father. I mean, that's a lot in itself. But you got other people who, have lost their mothers, and I said, God forbid, I don't know what I would do if that situation ever happened. And we got other guys who've lost brothers, lost friends to them. Just going out in tragic endings, their upbringers from sleeping in cars and things like that. I never had to be able to sleep in a car. My mother, we always had a roof over our head. We had food on the table. And it just made me feel for those guys, to understand that they're still in this situation. They could have went a lot of different areas and went out a lot of ways, but they still stayed true to it. And I understand that, that's not easy. It's not an easy task, especially I lost my father when I was 16 years old. So when I can just only imagine if I didn't have, my mother, I didn't have my stepfather, or have those things lined up in place for me to be able to have a good support system and a good team to make sure that to ease this process over. But when I talk to other guys and I see, and even when I go back to hire my old high school, and I'm talking to guys there and they're just asking questions like, what is it like? How is it this and that? And I can and they're telling me about their situations, and it's just like, it's kind of heartbreaking sometimes, just because, you wish that you can just say, here, take everything that I got and go do what I'm doing right now. But it's just like, you can't. You just, only thing you can do is just offer advice. So whenever I get a chance, like I said, I just love talking to the guys just because, it takes only one person. You can hear from the older people, the coaches, or, not discredit them at all. But it just sounds a lot different for somebody younger who's been through that whole process. So anytime I get a chance just to talk to them and understand, look, I mean, whatever you're feeling right now, don't worry about it. There's going to be good things to come. You just have to basically get through the storm. I mean, I went through a whole bunch of storms. I mean, there's so much stuff in college that I went through that it's amazing. Like, I just even be here is a blessing itself. There was a point in time where I was literally in my friend. He ended up my roommate ended up getting shot in college. I mean, literally we're 2 feet apart, and he got shot twice, and 2 other people got shot. and I didn't get touched at all. I mean, I just had to cover the shield of God just around me to the point where, even back to this day, even when I got drafted out and he was sitting right there next to me. And it's crazy just because I can sit here and talk today when I can easily have been in a grave. I can easily have been paralyzed. I could easily have been, I mean, the girl who got shot, the bullet missed her spine by this much. So for her to instantly still be here to this day is a huge blessing. I still talk to her to this day. I mean, there's so much stuff that I mean, from car accident, it could have been an easy car accident that I averted from. It's just so many things that have happened in my life to the point that got me here. And that's why I say I want to just share this knowledge, spread my wisdom, just because, to somebody who's my age or in the same circumstances, if not worse, they can get at least some bit of a light and see the light at the end of the tunnel.
Right. We got a comment from Mr. Wayne Stokes, and he said, your interview should be the blueprint for other athletes and young people to see what it takes to be successful, not only for the NFL, but for life. You're grounded due to Mama Carmen and your father in raising you, and remember, it takes a village. So you have a huge support system behind you right now because of who you are. And that's a wonderful thing. We also got another question. Are you up for getting in commercials? So.
Oh yeah. Hey, look. We waiting on
Mama
them to come in
Carmen
right now. We waiting on them.
What are you looking at? Because we know that in this industry, you have to protect your brand. So what do you look for? Because they're going to be, courting you, but you're also courting these companies that are coming after you, wanting you to do endorsements and appearances. What are you looking for in them as a professional athlete with his own brand?
I want to basically make sure that they put out in the right way, put out the right image, because so many things can get misconstrued in this world where they see one thing and take it for a whole different, another aspect or different story. And I want to make sure if I'm going to put something out, it has to be basically under what I want the image put out. I want to be the one that basically puts all this out and be the one that approves it. Because there's certain things that people do a lot of stuff for money and they turn out and now it's a whole different meaning. Now they have a whole new image behind their name when their name comes up. So I want to change the narrative on Black men as well. I want to definitely change or get back to the old narrative of what a young Black successful man looks like. I mean, there's so much stuff going on around in this world, and that's just a different conversation for another topic of the day. But I just want to make sure that we get back to know what Jonathan Greenard come on the camera, what he's standing for. He's not going for none of this under the table stuff that's going on, under this sneaky stuff that's changing the minds and influence on the mind of these young ones. No, I want to get back to what I think, or how I think. I feel like if you get back to someone who has the platform, using the platform that I have and build the foundation for younger ones that are in my community or around the world that are in similar situations, it all can go up from there. So if it has that type of thing and that type of narrative going on with it, I'm down for it.
Yeah, love it. Well, we could talk for probably another 2 hours, but we know our time is coming to a close. So what are you looking for the most? And I want both of you guys to answer this question. What are you looking forward the most in this journey? Because the journey is just starting.
Yeah, go ahead, man.
We just want to set a positive example to say this is what it should look like coming from families today. We've got so many negative images from our Black NFL players in the past. We're tired of it. We want to see some positive images. All we see is just negative. It's so many positive things in our Black community, but they just want to portray the negative. So, starting now, with Jonathan, it can be something positive. With me, it can be something positive because I care about my image. I raise them to care about their image. When they step out that door, don't embarrass me. Don't embarrass your name. So we're going to keep those positive images going from this day forward.
Very good.
Yeah, myself, like I said, kind of similar, piggybacking off of her. Like I said, I just want to change the narrative ultimately. That's what I want to do and get my name out there. With this whole experience, I look forward to seeing how many more younger people like myself come in the same steps. People hit me up and asking me questions. I'm actually changing everything around, changing their whole entire life around to the point where they can just at least do some positive. It doesn't even have to be in the football aspect. Being in this real world, I mean, I'm going to hit it eventually, but I mean, there's some things I wish I could be doing. I mean, obviously, I'm grateful to be in this football, going to the NFL, but there are a lot of things that I would like to learn from being in the real world a lot earlier to understand things that I'm going to be facing to come ahead. And I think I'm blessed to have that resource from my mother there to kind of fill in, like, here, this is what to expect. This is things that you're going to have to do or experience when this time comes. This to have a good background, a good upbringing. I want to see the whole narrative of the young Black man change.
Well, we love you, and we know that you are going to go so far, and you can only be a shining example to the young men and the young ladies who are coming up
Right,
in
for
this
sure.
industry, because like Mama Carmen said, it's a lot of negative stereotypes out there,
Mm,
but it's up to us now. Why not now to start changing that narrative and changing the game? And I'm so glad that we're rocking this journey with you, man, because I wouldn't have
mhm.
wanted to be with another more
Right.
deserving young man, young family,
Right.
Mama Carmen. We just appreciate y'all. I appreciate y'all for coming
Oh,
on. I know y'all still tired.
oh yeah.
And I know that our audience appreciate it. We got so many
Right.
comments, and we're rooting for you. We're rooting for you,
Right.
right behind you.
Thank
So
you.
you do have, your village is here, and we'll always be here for you.
Right.
So